Some people are crazy about him. Some people, they can't stand his face. Some people, they smile when they know he's coming. Some people chase him out of the place. Yeah, well, that could refer to mostly anybody, especially if you hold a belief and it's not a very popular one, like the Earth being a spinning ball, perhaps. That kind of belief that's not very popular around me anyway. And I still tolerate the people who do still think it's a spinning ball for some bizarre reason, best explained in their own twisted minds. They can't explain it to me. They have tried. But I still tolerate them. I can't sort of push them away because it's not their fault, and that's what we've got to kind of realize. It's not the fault of the people who still hold this belief, although I get very frustrated with these because they're under a spell. And the programming is everywhere. It's all around us. If you listen to the radio or watch television, etc., it's all over the internet as well, of course. But whereas you won't get much truth from the mainstream media, you will find the truth if you're willing to seek it online, because it's just such a great medium, because everybody's can put what they their experiences, what they've been through, what applies to them. And okay, there is a lot of subjectivity, but like I've said many times, reality is not subjective. It's it never changes, it never alters. Well, that's a little bit misleading, but I mean the simple facts that the Earth is not a spinning ball, that will never alter, that will never change. It's just people's perception that has to change. Their programming must be broken. See, I think deep down everybody knows that we're not living on a spinning ball. Everybody has to know that water isn't in any way going to conform to the exterior of a shape, especially if that shape is a spinning ball, a massive spinning ball, which then of course would have massive quantities of bendy water on top of it, on the sides of it, and on the underside of it. Now if you can't see a flaw in that logic, well, there is no logic to that. If you can't see a flaw in that model, that theory, because that's all it is, then you really need to dig a bit deeper. The best way, I think, is to admit that you know nothing. You actually know nothing, if you're a ball believer, and try and prove to yourself, without using photographs, or any kind of images that the Earth is a spinning ball. The first one I would go to is, can you feel it spinning? Obviously not. And then examine, study how water behaves. I know that there is motion in this sea, there's motion in the ocean, as they say, but go to a big lake where there is no motion, and you will not find on a nice calm day, and you can put your camera or lens or whatever just very, very close to the surface of the water and see much further than you would see if, and we all know now the formula for the curvature of the Earth is 8 inches per mile squared. So if you do that calculation, you'll know it cannot be curving. It doesn't go round anything, it just remains absolutely level. And as a practical person, or as a practical man, I should say, this is so obvious to me. I'm surprised that that people with a trade, builders, joiners, etc., don't realise this. You know, they're like most people, I suspect, until the subject came up, they wouldn't even consider it. They would just go along with their lives thinking, or not thinking, but if they were challenged, they would say, yeah, we live in a spinning ball in the infinite vacuum of space. And there's another thing. There's the third thing. The vacuum of space is obviously total nonsense, because how can it be that a vacuum can exist next to a pressurized spinning ball? That's obviously bullshit. So there you go. It's but you've got to do this for yourself, of course. Go and see if you can prove the globe, and I guarantee that you won't be able to. Now, it's been quite overcast recently. We've had rain, but not much rain, but cloud and a bit of wind and all that, and the temperature has reduced quite a bit, and that's good for me. However, I was able to film, I suppose, a luminary that I haven't seen before. I think it's called Antares. A friend told me that it was called Antares, and I have no reason not to believe that, or to doubt him, certainly. So he told me where to look for it, and I went out with a camera one clearish night, and filmed it. So I'll put this little bit of film now. well, I hope you enjoyed that. That was, I know I'm a bit shaky, and I don't, well, I have a tripod, yet the camera is so big and heavy that it doesn't really, I'm not happy with it out in the field, if you like. It doesn't seem to support it very well, so I'm a bit bothered that it might break off. That's why I don't use the tripod. So I'll have to devise some kind of other system where it would support it. Anyway, that's, you know, something I can do on a wet day, perhaps, which are few and far between at the moment. So what that is, I don't know. We see nobody knows, and that is great, isn't it? Fancy. For most of my life, I thought all that was worked out. You know, that people with qualifications, which don't mean anything actually now, I know that, had sussed all this out. But of course they haven't. They've just seen something, scratched their head, and then pretended to know. They come up with a story, which, of course, can never be verified. And so another point that came to me was, I don't mean it just came to me, I mean I heard somebody say this. It was probably on Beyond the Imaginary Curve. Excuse me, I'm just looking for a piece of fruit to give you a demonstration. So let's say that this is the ball Earth, the ludicrous ball Earth, by the way. Now, it surely doesn't matter whether it's an apple or not. It can't work. But the sun is supposed, the sun lights up half of the ball, wouldn't you say? Can't light any more or less of it, can it? And as it spins, I know this is all bullshit, but bear with me. As it spins, it's spinning at 1,037.5 miles an hour, approximately. Well, it isn't actually, but you know, let's go along with the ridiculous ball Earth model for a minute. It spins at 1,037.5 miles an hour at the equator, and as you go towards the North Pole, it obviously doesn't spin as fast, but when you get to the North Pole, it's hardly turning at all. Yet, of course, if you went from one place to the other, it would feel the same, apart from the temperature. But you wouldn't feel the spin here, you wouldn't feel the spin there, even though that's going 1,000 and that's going 0. See how ridiculous that is? However, this is the point I'm trying to make here. The light would light up half the ball, and it doesn't matter how fast it's turning, you would get the same amount of light. Just think about that. As the nights are drawing a little bit darker now, well, noticeably. Anyway, I'll have to go, so I've got room to put this little bit of footage. So, see you soon.